Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, this is from Bacchus Shankar, Personal Injury Lawyers. This is interesting because it's describing what religious abuse is, to include sexual abuse of children. And this is important that we clarify it because a lot of people seem to be confused. Sexual abuse in religious institutions. Churches and other religious institutes are designed to be places where you should feel safe. Children, we're talking about you. Cared for and loved. Yes, Scientology, that's the truth. So when the unthinkable happens, sexual abuse at your place of worship, it can be difficult to understand the events, what to do, and how to hold those accountable and responsible for their actions. Yes, Scientology. The first thing you should know is that it's not your fault. Religious leaders and clergymen, including the religious institute itself, can and should be held responsible for the pain they have inflicted on you and your family. At Bacchus and Shankar, our experienced sexual abuse lawyers are committed to protecting those who have been abused and exploited by community leaders who were supposed to protect them. What is church sexual abuse? What is church sexual abuse? Church sexual abuse refers to any abuse that is sexual in nature and is brought on by the church leader to satisfy their own sexual desires. Children, we're talking to you, just so you know, especially in Scientology. A physical sexual assault such as RAPE or molestation does not have to take place in order for sexual abuse to have occurred. That would be like the sexual abuse that occurs in the policies of Scientology, where the children are asking adults sexual questions. That's sexual abuse, as defined by laws. Although many survivors may experience a sexual assault over the course of the abuse. This goes for adults as well in Scientology. Victims are often groomed by their predators, and you may have been made to feel that the events you have experienced are not sexual in nature and do not constitute sexual abuse. Like being told that you're out 2D and that you pulled it in. That's what that's referring to. However, they are wrong. This abuse can take on many forms. You and other victims can, unfortunately, endure a range of inappropriate and heartbreaking encounters, including, but not limited to, the following: unwanted sexual touching and physical contact, fondling children on inappropriate parts of their bodies, it's your private parts, children, engaging in sexually suggestive conversation and physical activities. That would be like, we've seen this a lot with teachers and coaches, when they'll be talking to you and they put their hand on your shoulder or put their arm around your waist. That's inappropriate. They don't know you like that, and they shouldn't ever be touching you. Or another example would be, if, let's say you have a pervert teacher and he's making sexual remarks around you, or he might even make a joke about a body part of yours And then when you're uncomfortable, he'll say, I'm just joking. So that would be sexually suggestive conversation. Engaging in activities where the victim is forced to get naked. That might happen if you are a student in a gym class. That might happen if you are on the volleyball team. That might happen if you are doing the Purif when you're a child and you only have a towel over you while there are adults that are partly naked in the, wherever they do the, like the sauna. That's inappropriate, children. And you are children. You're not adults in small bodies. You are children. Use of pornography. That could be any kind of sexually suggestive picture, movies. If this adult is making you watch movies that are very sexual in nature, that's inappropriate. Sexual violence, sexual harassment, that's our whole entire world, isn't it? Sexual assault and molestation of children. Told you guys there was a difference. Victims of church-related sexual abuse, like, what was the gal's name? Valerie? Valerie's one of them. Valerie Haney. And the other one that was abused by someone in California, Gavin Potter, was the abuser. He did all of that. Victims of church-related sexual abuse are often made to feel as though they are not victims, like telling you you're out 2D. And that the behavior is normal and appropriate. It's a gaslighting. But it is not okay if you have experienced any of the above interactions with a church leader. That would also be like an ecclesiastical leader. Or they call, sometimes in Scientology, they call themselves pastors. But it also could be a staff member. It could be someone who calls themselves your superior. Like the whole Gavin Potter lawsuit. He allegedly was her supervisor. You may have been the victim of church-related sexual assault. This also applies if you have a child who has described any of the above events. That goes for you Scientology parents. I mean, unless you've just thrown your children to the wolves like most of you seem to do. Please remember that it isn't your fault and to contact law enforcement. Be careful about that. Because think about if you went to Pinellas County and reported a rape. Look at what the Pinellas County sheriffs did. Look what they did. And deputies. Contact law enforcement to seek out appropriate charges. Well, the one thing that you can get, you have to force the police officer, because if they don't want to report it or they want to dissuade you from reporting it, push the issue or get another police officer or another sheriff, because it needs to be on record. It needs to be on record. To seek out appropriate charges to hold the perpetrators accountable. You know, unless the officers are perpetrators, because that happens. How common is abuse at church and other religious institutes? Very. Unlike other crimes, crimes of sexual abuse, including sexual abuse in the church, are not accurately reported. It's rampant. We all know this. This is not a secret. Because you or other victims may be afraid to come forward. That's the secrecy, you guys. That's why secrets are not allowed anymore. This is entirely justifiable, but please know you are not alone. An estimated 63% of rapes that do occur are never reported to the police. And we see why not, right? We see why not. Because because a lot of the police officers are perpetrators. While only 12% of child sexual abuse cases are ever reported to the police, according to the latest data. Me personally, I don't trust any data that's released nowadays. But I mean, it's good to look at some of it. Current rates discovered by this data indicate that at least 1 in 5 women, it's higher than that, trust me, and 1 in 71 men, that's also higher, have reported that they have experienced rape at some point in their life. I mean, let's just use the Catholic Church as an example. Just the Catholic Church, and let's add in there the Boy Scouts, alone would throw those stats off. You guys see what I mean? Just the Catholic Church and the Boy Scouts would throw the 1 in 71 men all the way out of the park. So, these rates are even more sadly alarming when it comes to children. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys have reported that they were sexually abused at least once in their life before turning 18. And my question is, what was done about it? Police officers, sheriff's departments that are not perpetrators. The documented rates of church-related sexual abuse cases are even more skewed, as victims seldom come forward. Yeah, that's the secrecy. That's why there's no more secrets anymore. Secrets are no longer allowed. Over the past decade, however, more victims have courageously come forward to publicly out their abusers. Reminds me of I can't think of her name right now, the beauty queen that was sexually abused by her father her entire childhood, as well as her sister. And her mother knew about it and did nothing. I would recommend reading that book. I have to go look. I can't think of the name of the book right now. She was a beauty queen in the 50s. As more brave victims speak out, a clearer picture is painted of how many church sexual abuse cases occur and to whom. More recently, several religious institutes have been implicated in widespread sexual abuse scandals. Among these institutes are the Catholic Church, Evangelical Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses, Orthodox Judaism, Yeshivas, the Church of Latter-day Saints, Mormons, the Church of Scientology. The Church of Scientology. Sexual abuse in Catholic churches versus other religions. When it comes to sexual abuse in religious institutions, an overwhelming number of Americans are quick to associate the Catholic Church with abuse due to its disgusting reputation of victimizing and sexually abusing young children, particularly boys. So I said that alone would throw the stats off. In a recent study conducted by the Pew Research Center, Americans have grown increasingly wary of Catholic Church clergymen and their misconduct in the church. The study also highlights the many efforts that have gone into holding those responsible accountable for their misconduct. In a more recent case, a Pennsylvania grand jury announced that Catholic leaders, including Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, the former Archbishop of Washington, D.C., were behind decades of sexual abuse and misconduct against their parishioners. You guys do know that at the top, the Catholic Church is satanic, right? A majority of Americans regard the Catholic Church in a much different light when compared to other religious institutions regarding church sexual abuse. The study found that about 8 out of 10 American adults say that the recent reports of sexual abuse in the Catholic Church are an ongoing problem that still exists. Unfortunately, roughly 12% reported that they feel the sexual abuse allegations against the Catholic Church are in the past and mostly don't happen anymore. Well, that's 12% of imbeciles. And they might be perpetrators themselves. You just got to keep that in mind, you guys. Anyone who wants to downplay it and act like it doesn't exist, even with all the Diddy stuff, you got to look side-eyed at those folks. I do. Those surveyed also shared that they're not quite sure what to make of church sexual assault being a unique problem to the Catholic Church. Roughly 47%. 47 is the Freemasonic number. Just go look at what is the 47 with Zachary K. Hubbard. That's kind of telling you something right there. Not that this law firm is. I'm not saying that. Share that church sexual abuse occurs in all religious institutes. That's true. Happens everywhere. Not just the Catholic Church. An estimated 48% say that church sexual abuse is a problem unique to the Catholic Church. Who are they surveying? Come on now. What are the effects of being sexually abused at church? Whether church sexual assault occurs in a Catholic church or another religious institute, the effect of being sexually abused at church can have deeply rooted implications. You or other victims, especially younger victims, can be easily groomed by church leaders into thinking you were at fault or were the reason that the sexual abuse occurred. Please do not listen to them. It is not your fault. But because of this mentality, victims can experience effects, including but not limited to the following: fear of speaking out against the religious leader. That's how they control this matrix, is fear, you guys. Fear of telling their loved ones about the abuse, as they may feel that it is their fault it happened. Also, too, we have to add in, there are a lot of family members that cover it up as well. A lot of them. Disassociation from family members and other loved ones. Sound like Scientology? Sudden changes in mood, behavior, or outlook on life. You know, you got a happy child, and all of a sudden they're sullen and to themselves, quiet, never laugh anymore. Apprehension to attend the church where the abuse occurred or any other religious organizations. That right there is the biggest red flag ever. How many victims have we heard from that said they would cry and scream and holler that they didn't want to go to church, or they didn't want to go to their uncle's house where they were being abused? You got to watch that. And don't listen to people like the Pinellas County Sheriff. What was his name? I can't think of it now. Who was saying that, oh, the victims were lying. Remember that? Really makes me wonder about that guy. Apprehension of or fear of being left at church alone. For younger victims, this may be a fear of apprehension of going to church for extracurriculars such as Sunday school. Regardless of the events that occurred, your age or your background, it is important to remember that if you are the victim of a church sexual assault, you have been taken advantage of by someone who was supposed to protect you. Yes, Scientology children, listen to that. While it can take exhaustive time and resources to heal through the trauma of the church's sexual abuse, please do not blame yourself for the abuse. What to do if you've been sexually abused at church? Child Scientologists, I would tell you, if you have a trusted family member, to tell them, but they have to be a family member that you trust. Don't tell, the church is not going to help you. They're going to cover it up. If you have unfortunately been sexually abused at church, you may feel like you are to blame or are somehow responsible for your abuse. Please do not listen to that feeling. You are not alone, and it isn't your fault. Predators are classified as such because they prey on victims who are vulnerable or are too young to understand that they are being victimized. Predators are also inherently good at convincing you that speaking out about the abuse will bring on more negative consequences than good. That's where they throw the threats out, that they're going to hurt your family, that they're going to kill your mother or your father or your siblings. Don't listen to that. It's all talk. Additionally, predators tend to have the manipulative ability to emotionally separate you from your loved ones. Well, that's Scientology. So that you are not empowered to confide in them about the abuse. It's called isolation or triangulation. Talk to someone you trust. If you have sadly been sexually abused at church, Please tell someone you trust. Yeah, the trust is the important part. And it could even be a non-Scientologist family member you tell. In fact, that's better. If you're able to tell a non-Scientologist family member that you trust, they will help you more. Please tell someone you trust about the abuse. If you do not have someone you trust, contacting the authorities and alerting them about the abuse is imperative. You got to walk on eggshells with that one. We don't know what law enforcement we can trust anymore. If you are unsure whether what you have experienced constitutes sexual abuse, you could also call a hotline, kids. There are a lot of hotlines that will help you. You should still tell someone you trust or contact your local authorities. Well, what if the authorities are the handlers? Like LAPD or Clearwater PD? The very fact that you feel uneasy about a situation that has occurred is enough to validate that misconduct may have occurred, whether it be sexual abuse, physical abuse, or any other type of abuse. Seek medical attention. If you have unfortunately been the victim of a physical assault, such as rape or molestation, please seek medical attention immediately. You need a rape kit. And don't let anyone tell you that you don't need it. And if you can, keep the rape kit yourself. Or keep it at the hospital. I don't trust the police. Medical professionals will conduct a rape kit that can prove invaluable during criminal proceedings against your abuser. And for little girls or little boys, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to get graphic about this, but keep your underwear or clothing that has things on it you guys should know. Keep it in a plastic bag where nobody knows where it is. Speak with a church sexual abuse lawyer. To be honest with you, I think the sexual abuse lawyer might be your best bet. Call them first, and then they can help you. They will know, like, what police department, who to talk to that is really going to do something. Recovery following a sexual assault will look different for every survivor. Often, healing can take time and may require physical and mental health services. As a victim of someone else's abuse, you can begin to take back your power and hold your abuser accountable. Requiring them to pay for your physical and mental health services can be a step toward recovery. This is done when you file a civil lawsuit in which you can seek compensation for your losses because of the abuse you have regretfully endured. And then, if you want a free consultation, this is Bacchus and Shanker. Our sexual abuse lawyers will fight diligently to recover the restitution you deserve for the pain and suffering you've endured because of trauma. What state are they in? I don't know what state Bacchus is in. Can you sue a priest or religious institution for sexual abuse? Even though this is an incredibly difficult time, you can and should sue a priest or religious institution like Scientology if you have unfortunately experienced sexual abuse at church. By filing a lawsuit against a priest of a religious institution, you can take steps forward toward taking back your future while holding the liable parties responsible. You can file a suit against the abuser themselves and any other individual who took part in the abuse. Additionally, as painful as it is, you can take legal action against the church, temple, or mosque where the abuse occurred. Religious facilities can be held liable if they allow the abuse to continue, either directly or indirectly. This may help to provide some closure as you begin healing. What damages may I recover in a church sexual abuse case? When seeking restitution in a church sexual abuse lawsuit, you can pursue both economic and non-economic damages. Economic damages are designed to return you to your financial state before the abuse. This means you can legally file for the full losses you incurred because of the abuse. These losses include, but are not limited to, the following. This goes for you children in Scientology. You can sue them right now if you can get an adult to help you that you trust and get to a lawyer, file it at a police department that you trust. If you're in Clearwater or LAPD, maybe you can drive to another county, have an adult drive you to another county where they might be a little more dependable. Medical treatment, including hospitalization, doctor visits, and ongoing medical treatment. It's very important, you guys. Costs associated with physical or mental therapy following the abuse. Lost wages if you were unable to work or earn an income after the abuse. Well, children shouldn't be working, but of course they do work in Scientology. Any other financial losses that you suffered because of the abuse. Non-economic damages are designed to help you seek restitution for the pain and suffering you have endured because of the abuse. Non-economic damages are typically intangible losses that are difficult to calculate as monetary losses. Example of these damages can include the following. Trauma and mental anguish. Pain and suffering. Anxiety and PTSD due to the assault. That goes for if you're having nightmares, if you get really scared in certain situations, if you're having trouble sleeping, or maybe when you go near the place where you were assaulted or molested, you're very nervous, your heart starts to beat really fast, you get sweaty, or you can't talk, or maybe when you're around your abuser, you get very fidgety and nervous and scared. That's PTSD. Mental health issues that resulted because of the assault. According to the advocacy group, bishopaccountability.org, the average settlement for clergy sexual abuse is roughly $268,000. While a settlement can help you address medical services and other financial burdens, it can assist you in reclaiming your future and regaining the power you might have lost. A settlement also plays a pivotal role in helping bring light to the abuse. The majority of individuals who have filed a clergy sex abuse lawsuit say that they were motivated to do so because it could help other individuals from experiencing abuse at the hands of the men in the future. Or a woman, if it's a woman abusing. Oh, they're in Colorado. Recent Colorado sexual abuse lawsuits. Colorado has its unfortunate share of church sexual abuse cases. In 2021, a former Aspen Catholic priest was accused by a former altar boy. Because it always has to happen when they're an adult, doesn't it? I think children need to start filing lawsuits. I really do. There needs to be a way where children can start filing the lawsuits. Whether they have a parent that helps them or not, they need to have some adult that can help them navigate through it. Put them in jail. Put the perpetrators in jail. Do you understand what I'm saying? Keegan Callahan, a nice Irish name, of sexual assault. Callahan was just 7 years old at the time and is now 24 years old. Accused Reverend Michael O'Brien, another Irish name, of assaulting him over 300 times in the early 2000s. Too bad the police didn't help him, right? Through the legal action Callahan took, O'Brien was charged with his crimes and is now serving a 14-year prison sentence. 14-year prison sentence, Scientology. They're coming for you. You better be ready. In a similar 2022 case, Colorado resident Brian Barzy filed a lawsuit against the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Denver, accusing the facility of exploitation, and sexual abuse at the hands of a former priest. Several other priests were also accused of sexual misconduct. Do you guys believe me now? that a lot of the Catholic Church is satanic? Whether they're knowingly practicing satanic rituals or not? What kind of church covers up so much sexual abuse? Inquiring MF minds want to know. How can an experienced Colorado sexual assault lawyer help me? Church leaders are put in positions designed to protect children. When they violate this duty, it is important to hold them responsible. If you have sadly been the victim of church sexual assault, while it will be a painful journey, you have the power to hold them accountable by taking legal action. Please know you're not alone in this, and your efforts will hopefully help you during your recovery process. Your courage to speak out can also help protect others from becoming victims at the hands of your abuser. Children, we're talking to you too. The sexual assault lawyers at Bacchus and Schenker understand how painful this is for you, but we will be with you every step of the way and help you protect your rights. Get your free case consultation. And if you are in Colorado, their phone number is 303, another 33, 222-2222. I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night, wherever you are. Peace.